Let me tell you something you already know, but refuse to accept. You're going to die. Not someday. Not eventually. Soon. Sooner than you think. And when you're lying there in your final moments, you're not going to care about the things you failed at. You're going to be haunted by the things you never even tried. The opportunities you let slip away because you were waiting for the right time. The dreams you abandoned because you were not ready yet. The life you wanted but never had the courage to take. That's what will torture you. Not your failures. Your hesitation. And right now, in this moment, you're hesitating. You're waiting. For what? For permission? For the perfect conditions? For someone to tell you it's okay to want more? For fear to go away? For confidence to magically appear? It's not coming. None of it is coming. The permission you're waiting for, you have to give it to yourself. The perfect conditions, they don't exist. The confidence, it comes after action, not before. The fear, it never goes away. You just learn to move with it instead of being paralyzed by it. This book is not going to comfort you. It's not going to tell you that everything happens for a reason, or that you should be patient, or that your time will come if you just wait long enough. That's bullshit. That's what weak people tell themselves to justify their inaction. This book is going to tell you the truth, and the truth is brutal. Every day you wait is a day you lose. Every opportunity you hesitate on is an opportunity someone else takes. Every dream you postpone is a dream that dies a little more. You are running out of time. We all are. And the only question that matters is, what are you going to do about it? The comfortable lie. You've been telling yourself a story. A comfortable story. A story that makes your inaction seem reasonable. Maybe it sounds like this. I'm not ready yet. I need more experience, more knowledge, more preparation. But you'll never feel ready. Readiness is a lie you tell yourself to avoid risk. Or maybe, I'm waiting for the right opportunity. But the right opportunity is the one in front of you right now that you're too afraid to take. Or maybe, I'll start when I have more time, more money, more resources. But you'll never have enough. There will always be a reason to wait. Or maybe, I don't want to be selfish. I have responsibilities. But denying your potential isn't noble. It's cowardice disguised as virtue. These stories feel true. They feel reasonable. They feel like wisdom. But they're not. They're prison bars you've constructed around yourself. And you've become so comfortable in your prison that you've forgotten it's a prison at all. Here's what you need to understand. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is not rest. Comfort is death. Slow, quiet, socially acceptable death. You're dying right now. Your potential is dying. Your dreams are dying. Your time is dying. And you're choosing it. Every day you choose comfort over action. You're choosing death over life. Why this book exists? I wrote this book for one reason. Because I'm tired of watching people waste their lives. Tired of seeing potential rot away while people wait for permission that never comes. Tired of witnessing dreams die because someone was too scared to take the first step. You picked up this book for a reason. Maybe you're tired of waiting. Maybe you're tired of watching others succeed while you stand still. Maybe you're tired of the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. Maybe you're just tired of being tired. Good. Use that. That exhaustion with your current life, that's fuel. That frustration with your lack of progress, that's fuel. That anger at yourself for not moving, that's fuel. Don't try to get rid of those feelings. Channel them into action. This book is structured simply. Each chapter addresses a specific lie you've been telling yourself, a specific excuse you've been using, a specific fear that's been controlling you. And each chapter will give you the brutal truth and the specific actions you need to take. But here's the thing. Reading this book won't change anything. Understanding these concepts won't change anything. Only action changes things. Only taking what you want changes things. Only moving when you're scared changes things. So if you're looking for a book that will make you feel better about where you are, close this now. If you're looking for validation for your hesitation, you won't find it here. If you're looking for gentle encouragement and soft advice, this isn't it. But if you're ready to stop lying to yourself, if you're ready to stop waiting, if you're ready to actually take what you want from life instead of hoping it will be given to you, then keep reading. Because we're about to burn down every excuse you've been hiding behind. The promise and the cost. Here's what I promise. If you actually apply what's in this book, not just read it, not just agree with it, but actually do it, your life will change. Not might change, will change. Because the principles here are not theory. They're proven. They work. They've worked for every person who's ever had the courage to implement them. But there's a cost. There's always a cost. And you need to know what it is before you continue. The cost is discomfort. Massive, sustained, relentless discomfort. You're going to have to do things that scare you. You're going to have to face rejection. You're going to have to risk failure. You're going to have to give up the comfortable story you've been telling yourself about why you can't. The cost is also relationships. Some people in your life will not like the new you. They'll be threatened by your growth. They'll try to pull you back to who you were because your evolution challenges their stagnation. You're going to have to choose your growth or their comfort. You can't have both. The cost is certainty. Right now, you know exactly where you'll be in 5 years if you keep doing what you're doing. It's not where you want to be, but it's known. Taking action means stepping into unknown territory. No guarantees. No certainty. Just risk and possibility. And the cost is time. You're going to have to invest time in becoming who you need to become. Time that could be spent on comfort, on entertainment, on ease. But here's the thing. You're spending your time either way. The question is, are you investing it in growth or wasting it on comfort? These costs are real. I won't lie to you about them. But here's what I also won't lie to you about. The cost of not changing is higher. Much higher. The cost of staying where you are. Of letting more years pass without moving toward what you actually want. Of reaching the end of your life and realizing you never even tried. That cost is unbearable. So choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of action or the pain of inaction. The pain of growth or the pain of stagnation. You're going to experience pain either way. But only one kind of pain leads somewhere worth going. How to use this book. Don't just read this book. That's passive consumption. That's what most people do. They read, they nod, they agree, and then they do nothing. Don't be most people. After each chapter, there's an action section. Do it. Actually do it. Not later. Not when you finish the book. Immediately. The actions are designed to be uncomfortable. That's the point. If they were comfortable, you have already done them. Also, this book is going to repeat certain truths. Intentionally. Because you need to hear them multiple times. Your excuses have been repeated in your head thousands of times. They've become default patterns. To break those patterns, you need new truths repeated until they become your new defaults. Some of what's in here will make you angry. You'll want to argue with it. You'll want to find exceptions. You'll want to explain why your situation is different. Good. That resistance is your ego trying to protect itself from change. Acknowledge it and read anyway. Other parts will resonate so deeply it will hurt. You'll recognize yourself in the examples. You'll see exactly how you've been lying to yourself. That recognition might be painful. It should be. Pain is how you know you're touching truth. The moment of choice. Right now, you're at a decision point. You can keep reading, or you can close this book and go back to waiting. Both are choices. Both have consequences. If you close this book, nothing changes. You go back to your comfortable patterns. your comfortable excuses, your comfortable prison. And in 5 years, you'll be exactly where you are now. Maybe worse, because time doesn't stand still. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you keep reading and actually do what this book requires, everything can change. Not will change automatically. Can change. The potential for transformation is there. But only if you take it. Only if you act. Only if you stop waiting and start moving. This is your moment. Not tomorrow's moment. Not next week's moment. This one. Right now. What are you going to do? I already know what you're going to do. You're going to keep reading. Because something inside you, something real, something powerful, something that's been buried under years of excuses and fear, that part of you knows it's time. You've waited long enough. You've hesitated long enough. You've made excuses long enough. It's time to take what's yours. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop lying to yourself. You're a liar. Not to other people. Though you probably are to them too. But to yourself. You've been lying to yourself for so long that you've started to believe your own bullshit. And those lies are the primary obstacle between where you are and where you want to be. Let's get specific about the lies you tell yourself. Because vague awareness doesn't create change. Specific, brutal honesty does. Lie number 1. I'm not ready yet. This is the big one. The lie that's probably prevented more success, more growth, more achievement than any other. I'm not ready yet. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like responsible decision-making. But it's not. It's fear wearing a mask of prudence. Here's the truth. You'll never feel ready. Never. Because readiness is not a feeling. It's an illusion you chase to avoid taking action. You think readiness means the absence of fear, the presence of confidence, the certainty of success. But that's not how it works. Readiness doesn't come before action. It comes during action. You become ready by doing the thing you're scared to do. You build confidence through exposure, not through preparation. You develop capability through trial and error, not through endless planning. Think about it. When have you ever felt completely ready for something important? Starting a new job? You weren't ready. You figured it out as you went. A serious relationship? You weren't ready. You learned by doing. Having kids? No one is ready for that. You just do it and adapt. The I'm not ready lie keeps you in perpetual preparation mode. Always learning, never doing. Always planning, never executing. Always getting ready to get ready. Meanwhile, people who are less qualified, less prepared, less ready than you are taking the opportunities you're waiting on and succeeding at them. Not because they were more ready, but because they moved despite not being ready. So stop waiting to feel ready. You won't. Move anyway. Ready is a lie. Action is truth. Lie number 2. I'll start when. This is the conditional lie. The one with an endless series of prerequisites. I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when my kids are older. I'll start when the market is better. I'll start when I'm in better shape. I'll start when. Let me tell you what I'll start when really means. I'll start never. Because the conditions you're waiting for will never be perfect. There will always be another obstacle, another excuse, another reason to wait. You don't have enough money. Start anyway. Figure it out with what you have. You don't have enough time. Stop lying. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. You're just choosing to spend it on other things. The market isn't right. The market is never right. People succeed in every market condition. Your circumstances aren't perfect. No one's are. The I'll start when lie is particularly insidious because it makes your inaction seem external. Like you're waiting on circumstances beyond your control. But you're not. You're waiting on yourself. You're waiting on your own permission. And you're never going to give it as long as you can find one more condition That's not quite right. Here's a harsh truth. The perfect time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is now. Not when the conditions improve. Now, because the conditions won't improve. You'll just find new conditions to wait on. Lie number 3. I don't want to be selfish. This is the noble lie. The one that makes your cowardice look like virtue. I can't pursue what I want because I have responsibilities. I can't take that risk because other people depend on me. I don't want to be selfish. Let's be brutally honest. This is bullshit. You're not being selfless. You're being scared and using other people as an excuse. Real selflessness doesn't mean sacrificing your potential. It doesn't mean staying small so others feel comfortable. It doesn't mean denying your dreams because pursuing them would inconvenience someone else. That's not selflessness. That's self-abandonment. And self-abandonment helps no one. Here's what actually happens when you sacrifice your potential for others. You become bitter, resentful, angry. You start to blame the people you sacrificed for. You become a martyr. And martyrs are miserable to be around. You think you're doing them a favor by staying small? You're not. You're just dragging them down with you. Real selflessness is becoming the best version of yourself, so you can contribute more, give more, offer more. You can't give what you don't have. You can't inspire growth if you're stagnant. You can't lift others up if you're drowning. So stop hiding behind false nobility. Stop using other people as an excuse for your own fear. If you want to help others, become someone worth helping. Become someone who's actually doing something with their life. That's how you serve. Not by staying small out of some misguided sense of humility. Lie number 4. It's too late for me. This is the age lie. The time lie. I'm too old to start over. I've already wasted too much time. If I was going to do it, I would have done it by now. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. You're not too old. You haven't wasted too much time. It's not too late. As long as you're breathing, it's not too late. Yes, starting at 40 is different than starting at 20. So what? You're not 20. You're 40. Deal with it. Use the advantages of your age, experience, wisdom, resources, network, instead of fixating on the disadvantages. Stop comparing your chapter 40 to someone else's chapter 20. They're different books. And yes, you've lost time. So what? You can't get it back by complaining about it. You can only decide what you're going to do with the time you have left. You have 2 choices. Waste more time wishing you hadn't wasted the past, or start using your time now. Here's something that will either motivate you or terrify you. You're going to be 5 years older in 5 years, no matter what you do. The only question is, will you be 5 years older and exactly where you are now? Or will you be 5 years older and somewhere completely different because you finally started? The "it's too late" lie is particularly cruel because it's self-fulfilling. As long as you believe it's too late, it is. Not because it's objectively true, but because you won't try. And if you don't try, you guarantee the outcome you're afraid of. Stop letting age be your excuse. Start using time as your motivator. Every day that passes without action is another day confirming the lie. Break the pattern. Start today. Prove to yourself it's not too late by actually doing something. Lie number 5. I'm just not that kind of person. This is the identity lie. The fixed mindset lie. I'm just not a risk taker. I'm not good with people. I'm not creative. I'm not disciplined. I'm just not that kind of person. Here's the truth. You are whatever kind of person you choose to be. Your identity is not fixed. It's not destiny. It's not written in stone. It's just a story you keep telling yourself. And you can change the story anytime you want. I'm not disciplined means I haven't practiced discipline. I'm not good with people means I haven't developed social skills. I'm not creative means I haven't exercised my creativity. The I'm not is a choice masquerading as a fact. Every identity you have was formed through repetition. You weren't born not a morning person. You became that by repeatedly not waking up early. You weren't born not athletic. You became that by repeatedly not exercising. You weren't born not confident. You became that by repeatedly avoiding situations that would build confidence, which means you can become something else through different repetitions. You can become disciplined by repeatedly choosing discipline. You can become social by repeatedly engaging with people. You can become confident by repeatedly doing things that scare you. The I'm just not that kind of person lie lets you off the hook. It makes your limitations seem unchangeable, but they're not. They're just comfortable, and you're choosing comfort over growth. The pattern of self-deception. Notice the pattern in these lies. They all do the same thing. They externalize your obstacles. They make your inaction seem like it's caused by something outside your control. You're not ready. External standard. The conditions aren't right. External circumstances. You'd be selfish. External people. It's too late. External time. You're not that type. External identity. But none of it is external. It's all you. You're not ready because you choose not to act before feeling ready. The conditions aren't right because you're waiting for permission to create your own conditions. You'd be selfish because you're using other people as an excuse. It's too late because you've decided it is. You're not that type because you haven't chosen to become it. Every single obstacle is internal, which is actually good news, because external obstacles are hard to change. Internal obstacles? Those you have complete control over. You can't control the market, but you can control whether you enter it. You can't control other people's reactions, but you can control whether you let their reactions stop you. You can't control time passing, but you can control what you do with the time you have. Why you keep lying. So why do you keep lying to yourself when the lies are so obviously keeping you stuck? Because the lies are comfortable. They protect you from risk, from failure, from rejection, from the possibility that you'll try and not succeed. The lies let you stay where you are without feeling bad about it. They give you permission to not try. They make your inaction seem reasonable instead of cowardly. They let you maintain the fantasy that you would succeed if only, insert excuse here, while never having to test that fantasy against reality. But here's what you're trading for that comfort. Your potential, your growth, your dreams, your one life. You're trading possibility for comfort. And when you're 80 years old looking back, that trade is going to seem insane. The cost of self-deception. Let's be very specific about what these lies cost you. Because vague acknowledgement doesn't create urgency. Concrete understanding of cost does. Every day you tell yourself, I'm not ready. You miss opportunities. People who are less qualified than you take chances you're afraid to take and succeed at them. They get the promotions, the relationships, the experiences. Not because they were more ready, because they moved. Every day you say, I'll start when. You guarantee the conditions will never be right, because you're training yourself to wait, to seek permission from circumstances, to need everything perfect before you act. And perfection never comes. Every day you hide behind, I don't want to be selfish. You become more bitter, more resentful, more angry at the people you claim you're sacrificing for. You watch others pursue their dreams while you stagnate, and you call it noble. But it's not. It's tragic. Every day you believe it's too late. You waste the time you're mourning. You could be building something. You could be growing. You could be moving toward what you actually want. Instead, you're paralyzed by regret about time you can't get back. Every day you accept, I'm just not that kind of person. You reinforce that identity. You make it more true. Not because it was true to begin with, but because you keep choosing it. You become more fixed, more stuck, more limited, all by choice. Add it up. Calculate the cost. How many years have you been telling yourself these lies? How many opportunities have you missed? How much potential have you left unrealized? How much of your life have you spent waiting, hesitating, making excuses? That's the cost. And it's still accumulating. Every day you continue lying to yourself, the cost increases. The gap between who you are and who you could be widens. The time you have left to close, that gap decreases. The moment of honesty. So here's your moment. Right now. No more lies. No more excuses. No more comfortable self-deception. Just brutal, uncomfortable, necessary honesty. Ask yourself these questions. And answer honestly. Not the answer that makes you feel better. Not the answer that justifies your current situation. The actual truth. What opportunity are you currently avoiding because you're not ready? Name it. Specifically. What would you be doing right now if you were willing to act before feeling ready? What are you waiting on? What condition needs to be met before you'll finally start? And if that condition was met tomorrow, what's the next condition you'd find to wait on? Be honest. Who are you using as an excuse? Who are you claiming to sacrifice for? And if they gave you permission to pursue what you actually want, would you do it? Or would you find another excuse? What timeline story are you telling yourself? How exactly is it too late? What age do you think is the cutoff for trying? And who decided that? Based on what? What identity are you hiding behind? What kind of person are you claiming not to be? And what would you need to do repeatedly to become that kind of person? Write down your answers. Look at them. See your lies on paper. See how flimsy they are when you actually examine them. See how much power you've given to thoughts that can't survive honest scrutiny. The shift to truth. Now that you see the lies, you have a choice. You can go back to believing them. It's easier, more comfortable, requires nothing from you. Or you can replace them with truth. The truth is, you are ready enough to start. Not ready to be perfect. Ready to begin. Ready to learn. Ready to fail and adjust. That's all the readiness required. The truth is, the conditions will never be perfect. But they're sufficient right now. You have enough. Enough time. Enough resources. Enough capability. Maybe not ideal, but enough to start. And starting is what matters. The truth is, pursuing your potential is not selfish. It's necessary. You can't give what you don't have. You can't inspire if you're stagnant. You can't lift others if you're drowning. Becoming more is how you serve more. The truth is, it's not too late. As long as you're breathing, you have time. Not infinite time, but time. Enough to make progress. Enough to change direction. Enough to become someone different than who you've been. The truth is, you are not a fixed entity. You're not, just not that kind of person. You're whatever you choose to become through repeated action. Your identity is flexible. You can change at any time by changing your behavior. These truths are harder to believe than the lies. They don't offer comfort. They offer possibility. And possibility is terrifying because it places the responsibility squarely on you. If the lies were true, your stagnation wouldn't be your fault. But if these truths are real, if you are ready enough, if the conditions are sufficient, if it's not too late, if you can change, then your stagnation is entirely your choice. That's uncomfortable, but it's also empowering, because if your situation is your choice, you can make different choices. You can stop lying, start acting, stop waiting, start taking action now. Reading this chapter changes nothing. Understanding your lies intellectually doesn't break their power. Only action breaks patterns. So here's what you're going to do right now. Not later. Not after you finish the book. Now. First, write down the lie you tell yourself most often. The the one you just recognized, the one you've been using to justify your inaction. Write it at the top of a page. Second, under that lie, write the truth that replaces it. Not a positive affirmation. The actual truth. The uncomfortable reality you've been avoiding. Third, identify one action you've been avoiding because of that lie. One specific thing you would do if you stopped believing the lie. Something concrete. Something you could do today. Fourth, do that thing. Today. Not perfectly. Not completely. Just start. Take the first step. Prove to yourself that the lie wasn't stopping you. You were stopping you. This will be uncomfortable. You'll want to delay it. You'll want to make it easier. You'll want to modify it to something less challenging. Don't. Do the thing you're afraid to do. That's the whole point. Your excuses end here. Your lies end here. Your comfortable self-deception ends here. From this point forward, you move based on truth. Not comfortable truth. Just truth. No more, I'm not ready. You're ready enough. Move. No more, I'll start when. Start now. No more, I don't want to be selfish. Become more so you can give more. No more, it's too late. It's not. Prove it. No more, I'm just not that kind of person. Become that kind through action. Stop lying to yourself. Start taking what's yours. The only thing standing between you and what you want is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. That story ends now. Chapter 2. No one's coming to save you. You're waiting for rescue. You might not call it that. You might not even realize you're doing it. But you are. Deep down, you're waiting for someone to make it easier. To remove the obstacles. To give you permission. To show you the way. To validate your path. To guarantee success. Stop waiting. No one's coming. This might be the hardest truth in this entire book. Because as long as you believe someone might save you, you have an excuse for not saving yourself. As long as you think help is on the way, you can justify staying put. As long as you believe someone else might solve your problems, you don't have to take full responsibility for solving them yourself. But that belief, that hope, is killing you. It's keeping you dependent, passive, waiting. And while you wait, time passes. Opportunities vanish. Your potential dies. And no one comes. The rescue fantasy. Let's examine the different forms this fantasy takes. Because it's sneaky. It disguises itself. You think you've accepted responsibility, but you're still harboring secret hopes for external salvation. Maybe you're waiting for discovery. You're talented, skilled, valuable, and you're waiting for someone to notice, to recognize your worth, to give you the opportunity you deserve. You think, if someone just gave me a chance, I'd prove myself. But no one's looking for you. No one's searching for hidden talent. People are busy with their own lives. If you want to be discovered, you have to discover yourself. You have to put yourself out there so aggressively that people can't ignore you. Maybe you're waiting for permission. You have an idea, a dream, a goal, and you're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to pursue it. Your parents, your partner, your boss, your friends, society. You think, I'll do it when they approve. But they won't approve. Why would they? Your success challenges their comfort. Your growth highlights their stagnation. They have no incentive to give you permission. You have to give it to yourself. Maybe you're waiting for a mentor, someone to guide you, teach you, show you the way. You think, I need someone who's been there to help me. But successful people are busy. They're building, creating, moving. They don't have time to hold your hand through every step. Yes, mentorship helps. But waiting for the perfect mentor to appear is another form of waiting for rescue. Learn from whoever will teach you. But don't use the absence of a perfect guide as an excuse for inaction. Maybe you're waiting for circumstances to change. for the economy to improve, for the market to shift, for technology to advance, for society to become more accepting. You think, when conditions are better, I'll move. But conditions are never perfect. Someone else is succeeding in the same conditions you're complaining about. They're not waiting for circumstances to change. They're changing their approach to circumstances. Maybe you're waiting for motivation, for inspiration, for passion, for the feeling that will make action easy. You think, when I feel ready, I'll do it. But feelings don't lead to action. Action creates feelings. You don't wait to feel motivated. You act and motivation follows. Waiting for the feeling is waiting for rescue from your own resistance. Or maybe you're waiting for a sign, some clear indication from the universe that this is the right path. You think, I'll know when it's right. But the universe doesn't send signs. The universe is neutral. You create meaning through your choices. The sign you're waiting for is your own decision to act. All of these are variations on the same theme. Someone or something outside yourself will make this easier, will remove the risk, will guarantee success, will make action less scary. But it's not going to happen. You are the only rescue that's coming. Why you want to be saved? Why do people cling to the rescue fantasy even when intellectually they know no one's coming? Because being saved means not being responsible. It means if things go wrong, it's not your fault. It means you can avoid the terror of being fully accountable for your life. Taking full responsibility is heavy. It means every outcome is on you. Every failure is your failure. Every missed opportunity is your mistake. Every waste of time is your choice. That's a lot of weight. Much easier to share that weight with external factors. To believe that if only someone had helped, things would be different. But here's what you're trading for that comfort: your power. When you give away responsibility, you give away power. When you believe others control your outcomes, you surrender control of your life. When you wait for rescue, you make yourself helpless. And helplessness is the opposite of power. The rescue fantasy also protects your ego. If you try and fail, you've proven yourself inadequate. But if you wait for rescue and it never comes, you can maintain the fantasy that you would have succeeded if only you'd gotten the help you needed. You preserve the belief in your own potential by never testing it. It's a coward's comfort. What self-reliance actually means. Self-reliance doesn't mean you do everything alone. It doesn't mean you never ask for help or never accept assistance or never collaborate with others. That's isolation, not self-reliance. Self-reliance means you don't wait for help before starting. It means you begin with what you have, knowing you'll figure out the rest along the way. It means you ask for help from a position of action, not passivity. You're already moving, and you're seeking support to move faster, not permission to start moving. Self-reliance means you take full responsibility for outcomes. When things go well, you don't attribute it to luck. When things go badly, you don't blame circumstances. You own it. All of it. This isn't about being harsh on yourself. It's about maintaining power. The moment you blame external factors, you surrender your ability to change those factors. Self-reliance means you solve your own problems, not because help isn't available, but because you don't wait for it. You encounter an obstacle, you figure it out. You lack a skill, you learn it. You need a resource, you create it or find it, or do without it. You operate from the assumption that you are responsible for solutions, not others. Self-reliance means you validate yourself. You don't need others to tell you your work is good. You don't need permission to pursue your goals. You don't need constant encouragement to keep going. You develop internal standards, internal motivation, internal validation. Others' opinions inform you, but they don't define you. This kind of self-reliance is hard. It's lonely sometimes. It's heavy, but it's also the only path to real freedom. Because as long as you're dependent on external rescue, you're not free. You're constrained by others' availability, others' willingness to help, others' opinions about whether you deserve assistance. Self-reliance breaks those constraints. The victim mindset versus the victor mindset. There are two fundamental ways to approach life. You can live as a victim or as a victor. And the difference comes down to this. Who do you believe is responsible for your situation? The victim mindset says, my situation is caused by external factors. My childhood, my circumstances, my lack of opportunities, other people's actions, systemic obstacles, bad luck. If these external factors were different, I'd be successful. Therefore, I'm waiting for these factors to change or for someone to change them for me. The victim mindset says, my situation is caused by my choices. Yes, external factors exist. Yes, some people have advantages I don't have. Yes, life isn't fair, but I'm still responsible for my outcomes. I may not control everything, but I control my response to everything, and my responses determine my results. The victim mindset is seductive because it's comfortable. Nothing is your fault. You can stay where you are without feeling bad about it. You have someone or something to blame. Your stagnation is explained by external factors, not internal failures. But the victim mindset is also a prison. Because if external factors determine your outcomes, you have no power. You're helpless. You can only wait and hope that circumstances change or someone intervenes. Your fate is in others' hands, not yours. The victim mindset is uncomfortable because it's heavy. Everything is your responsibility. Your successes and your failures. Your progress and your stagnation. You can't blame anyone or anything. The weight of your life is entirely on your shoulders. But the victor mindset is also liberation. Because if you're responsible for your outcomes, you have power to change them. You're not waiting on anyone or anything. You can act. Right now. Today. Your fate is in your hands, not others. Here's a test. When something goes wrong in your life, what's your first thought? Is it, this happened to me because of external factor? That's victim mindset. Or is it, I created this through my choices? What can I do differently? That's victor mindset. Most people flip between the two. They take credit when things go well and assign blame when things go badly. That's ego protection, not self-reliance. Real self-reliance means taking responsibility in both cases. You created the success through your choices and actions. You created the failure through your choices and actions. Own both. The responsibility you've been avoiding. Let's get specific about what you're actually responsible for. Because take responsibility sounds abstract. Concrete understanding creates concrete action. You're responsible for your skills. If you lack a skill you need, that's on you. Not your school for not teaching you. Not your job for not training you. You have access to more educational resources than any generation in human history. Free courses, books, videos, mentors. If you don't have a skill you need, it's because you chose not to acquire it. You're responsible for your relationships. If your relationships are shallow, toxic, or unfulfilling, that's on you. You chose these people. You maintain these connections. You accept behaviors you shouldn't accept. You fail to communicate what you need. Every relationship dynamic is co-created. Your role in that creation is your responsibility. You're responsible for your health. If you're out of shape, exhausted, or sick, barring legitimate medical conditions, that's on you. You chose what to eat. You chose whether to exercise. You chose how much to sleep. You chose how to manage stress. Your body is responding to your choices. Don't like the results? Change the choices. You're responsible for your finances. If you're broke, in debt, or struggling financially, that's largely on you. Yes, Economic systems are unfair. Yes, some people have advantages, but within your circumstances, you make financial choices every day. What you earn, what you spend, what you save, what you invest. Those choices create your financial reality. You're responsible for your knowledge. If you're ignorant about topics that matter to your life, that's on you. Information is freely available. If you don't know something, it's because you chose not to learn it. You chose to spend your time on other things. That's fine, but own it. Don't blame others for your ignorance. You're responsible for your emotions. How you feel is not caused by external events. It's caused by your interpretation of events. Two people experience the same situation and feel completely differently. The difference isn't the situation. It's their interpretation. Your emotions are your responsibility, not others' job to manage them. You're responsible for your time. If you don't have time for what matters, that's on you. You have time. You're just spending it on other things. Netflix, social media, pointless obligations, comfortable distractions. You're choosing how to spend every hour. If your time allocation doesn't match your priorities, that's your choice, not your circumstances. You're responsible for your energy. If you're constantly exhausted, depleted, overwhelmed, that's largely on you. You're saying yes to too many things. You're not protecting your boundaries. You're not managing your commitments. You're giving energy to things that drain you while neglecting things that fuel you. Your energy is finite. How you allocate it is your choice. You're responsible for your outcomes. If you're not getting the results you want in any area of life, that's on you. Not completely. Yes, some factors are beyond your control, but your actions or inactions are contributing. Maybe not causing entirely, but contributing significantly. And your contribution is what you can change. This is heavy. I know. It's much easier to believe external factors determine these things. Much more comfortable to think you're a victim of circumstances. But comfort is not what you need. Power is what you need. And power comes from taking full responsibility. What to do when you're actually stuck. Now some of you are thinking, but I really do have obstacles. Real ones. Not just excuses. I actually am stuck because of factors beyond my control. Fair. Let's address that. Yes, real obstacles exist. Systemic discrimination, economic hardship, health limitations, family obligations, geographic constraints. These are real. I'm not saying they don't exist or don't matter. I'm saying they don't determine your outcome. They influence it, but they don't determine it. When you're genuinely stuck, here's what you do. First, identify what's actually beyond your control versus what you're treating as beyond your control, but actually isn't. Most obstacles are at least partially within your control. You might not be able to change them completely, but you can influence them more than you think. Second, accept what you actually can't control. Stop fighting it mentally. Stop wishing it were different. Stop using energy resenting it. It is what it is. Acceptance doesn't mean you like it. It means you stop wasting energy on what can't be changed and redirect that energy to what can. Third, identify every factor you can influence, even slightly. Maybe you can't change your entire situation, but you can change one element. Maybe you can't remove the obstacle completely, but you can reduce it. Maybe you can't take the direct path, but you can find an alternate route. Focus on what's possible, not what's impossible. Fourth, take action on what you can control while you work on what you can influence. You might be stuck in a bad job while you build skills for a better one. You might be constrained by family obligations while you plan your next move. You might be limited by finances while you create additional income streams. Move on all fronts where movement is possible. Fifth, stop comparing your obstacles to others' advantages. Yes, some people have easier paths. So what? You're not running their race. You're running yours. Your obstacles are yours to overcome. Their advantages don't make your obstacles matter less or more. Focus on your path, not theirs. The key is this. Even when genuinely stuck, you have more agency than you think. You might not have complete control, but you're not completely helpless. There's always something you can do. Even if it's small, even if it's slow, even if it's hard, there's always a move available. Make it. The hard truth about help. Here's something most people don't want to hear. Help usually comes to people who are already moving, not to people who are waiting for help before they move. Think about it. When you're already taking action, already making progress, already showing results, that's when people notice. That's when opportunities appear. That's when mentors reach out. That's when doors open. Because you've demonstrated that you're serious, that you're capable, that you're not looking for someone to do it for you. You're looking for someone to accelerate what you're already doing. But when you're waiting for help before you start, nothing happens. Because you look like everyone else who's waiting. You look passive, dependent, like you need someone to carry you. And no one wants to carry people. They want to support people who are already carrying themselves. This is why the advice, network to find opportunities, often fails. You're showing up to network looking for help. Everyone can sense that. They can feel your neediness, your dependence, your expectation that they should give you something, and they pull back. But when you show up already building something, already making progress, already creating value, then networking works. Because you're not asking for something. You're offering something. You're demonstrating capability. You're showing you don't need rescue. You just need acceleration. So if you want help, stop waiting for it. Start moving. Create evidence of your capability. Build momentum. Show results. Then, and only then, will meaningful help arrive. Not as rescue, but as support for what you're already creating. Taking full ownership now. So here's what you're going to do. Right now. No more fantasy about external rescue. No more waiting for someone to make it easier. No more victim mindset. Full ownership. Full responsibility. Full self-reliance. First, identify one area where you've been waiting for rescue. Where you've been hoping someone would come along and solve your problem. Be specific. Second, write down exactly what you've been waiting for. What form was the rescue supposed to take? Who did you think was coming? What were they supposed to do? Third, acknowledge that they're not coming. Say it out loud if you need to. Write it down. Make it real. No one is coming to rescue you in this area. You are your own rescue. Fourth, identify the first action you would take if you knew for certain no help was coming. What would you do if you knew you were completely on your own? That action, that's what you're actually going to do. Fifth, do it. Today. Not perfectly. Not with all the resources you wish you had. With what you have. Now, prove to yourself that you don't need rescue. That you can move on your own power. This is the shift from victim to victor. From dependent to self-reliant. From waiting to acting. It's uncomfortable. It's heavy. It's lonely sometimes. But it's also the only path to real power. Real freedom. Real success. No one's coming to save you. And that's good news. Because it means you don't have to wait. You can start saving yourself right now. You can be your own rescue. You can take full ownership of your situation and full power to change it. Stop waiting. Start moving. You are the help that's coming. Act like it. Chapter 3. Comfort is killing you. You're dying. Not from disease. Not from age. From comfort. Every day you choose ease over challenge. Safety over risk. Comfort over growth. You're choosing a slow, quiet death. Your potential is dying. Your capability is dying. Your edge is dying. And you're doing it to yourself. This might be the hardest chapter in this book to accept, because comfort feels good. It feels like rest. like you've earned it, like you deserve it after working hard, and maybe you do deserve rest. But what you call rest has become permanent. What was supposed to be temporary comfort has become your lifestyle, and it's killing you. The comfort trap. Let's be clear about what comfort actually is. It's not peace. It's not fulfillment. It's not happiness. Comfort is the absence of challenge, the absence of difficulty, the absence of anything that requires you to grow or stretch or struggle. And humans are not built for comfort. We're built for challenge. Our bodies, our minds, our psychology, all of it is designed to adapt to difficulty, to grow through struggle, to become stronger through resistance. When you remove the challenge, you don't stay the same. You deteriorate. Think about muscles. What happens when you don't use them? They atrophy. They weaken. They waste away. Not because anything bad is happening to them, just because nothing is happening to them. Comfort. And comfort kills them. Your mind works the same way. When you don't challenge it, it weakens. Your ability to focus shrinks. Your tolerance for difficulty decreases. Your problem-solving capability declines. Not because you're aging or damaged, because you're comfortable. And comfort is destruction disguised as rest. The comfort trap works like this. You work hard. You achieve something. You reach a level of success. And then you think, I've earned the right to relax. So you do. You reduce the challenges. You eliminate the difficulties. You choose ease. And it feels good. For a while. But comfort is like a drug. You build tolerance. What used to feel relaxing starts to feel normal. What used to feel easy starts to feel necessary. You become dependent on it. And the thought of returning to challenge, to difficulty, to growth, it becomes terrifying because you've weakened. You've lost your capacity to handle discomfort, so you stay comfortable. And you tell yourself stories about why it's okay. I've worked hard. I deserve this. I'll get back to it later. I need to take care of myself. This is self-care, but it's not self-care. It's self-destruction. Slow, comfortable, socially acceptable self-destruction. Where comfort shows up. Comfort isn't just about physical ease. It manifests in every area of life. And it's insidious because it disguises itself as reasonable choices. Physical comfort. You take the elevator instead of the stairs. You drive instead of walk. You skip the workout because you're too tired. You eat what tastes good instead of what's nutritious. You stay up late on your phone because it's easier than disciplined sleep. None of these seem like big deals, but they compound. Day after day, month after month, year after year. And one day you look in the mirror and you're soft, weak, exhausted. Not because you're old, because you've been comfortable. Mental comfort. You consume content instead of creating it. You watch instead of doing. You scroll instead of thinking. You avoid difficult books because they're too dense. You stop learning new things because it's too hard at your age. You default to familiar thoughts and perspectives because new ones require effort. Your mind becomes lazy, passive, unable to sustain deep focus. Not because you lack intelligence, because you've been mentally comfortable. Emotional comfort. You avoid difficult conversations because they're uncomfortable. You suppress emotions instead of processing them. You numb yourself with substances, entertainment, food. You surround yourself only with people who agree with you because disagreement is hard. You avoid situations that might make you feel awkward or vulnerable. Your emotional range shrinks. Your resilience decreases. You become fragile. Not because you're sensitive, because you've been emotionally comfortable. Social comfort. You stick with the same people because new relationships require effort. You avoid situations where you might be judged or rejected. You don't put yourself out there because it's risky. You never expand your network because your current one is comfortable. Your social skills atrophy. Your ability to connect diminishes. You become isolated. Not because you're unlikable, because you've been socially comfortable. Professional comfort. You stay in the safe job instead of taking the risky opportunity. You don't ask for the promotion because you might hear no. You don't start the business because you might fail. You coast on existing skills instead of developing new ones. You avoid challenges that might expose your limitations. Your career stagnates. Your value decreases. You become replaceable. Not because you lack talent, because you've been professionally comfortable. Financial comfort. You spend instead of save because spending feels good. You avoid looking at your finances because it's uncomfortable. You don't invest because risk is scary. You maintain expensive habits because change is hard. You live paycheck to paycheck, not because you don't earn enough, but because you won't make uncomfortable choices. Your financial situation never improves. Not because you can't, because you've been financially comfortable with mediocrity. Do you see the pattern? In every area, comfort presents itself as reasonable, as justified, as earned, as necessary. But it's not. It's a trap, and you're in it. Why comfort is seductive? Comfort is seductive because it feels like relief. You've been struggling, striving, pushing, and comfort feels like finally getting to stop. Like rest after a long day. Like safety after danger. Like home after a journey. But here's what you're not seeing. The relief is temporary, but the cost is permanent. Comfort feels good today, but it weakens you for tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Until one day you want to do something difficult, and you can't. Not because it's impossible, because you've lost your capacity for difficulty. Comfort killed it. Comfort is also seductive because it's normalized. Everyone's comfortable. Everyone's choosing ease. Everyone's avoiding challenge. So your comfort doesn't look like failure. It looks like normal life. It looks like what successful people do. You look around and think, everyone lives like this. It must be okay. But everyone is slowly dying. Everyone is slowly weakening. Everyone is slowly losing their edge. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's good. Normal is comfort. Normal is stagnation. Normal is slow death. And comfort is seductive because the costs are delayed. When you skip the workout, you don't get immediately fat. When you avoid the challenge, you don't immediately weaken. The decline is gradual, invisible, easy to ignore, until one day you wake up and you're not who you used to be. You're softer, weaker, less capable. And you wonder, how did this happen? It happened one comfortable choice at a time. The growth zone. There's a concept in psychology called the growth zone. It's the space between comfort and overwhelm. Not so easy that you're not challenged. Not so hard that you're destroyed. Just hard enough that you have to stretch, strain, grow. Most people live in a comfort zone. Everything is manageable, familiar, safe. No growth happens here. You just maintain, or more accurately, you decline. Because without challenge, you don't maintain, you deteriorate. Some people occasionally venture into overwhelm. They take on too much too fast. They try to jump from comfort to extreme difficulty without building capacity. They burn out, get injured, give up. Then they retreat back to comfort and tell themselves the problem was trying too hard. But it wasn't. The problem was not spending time in the growth zone building capacity first. The growth zone is where transformation happens. It's where you're challenged enough to adapt, but not so challenged that you break. It's uncomfortable. Always. By definition. If it's not uncomfortable, you're not in the growth zone. You're in the comfort zone pretending you're growing. The question you need to ask yourself constantly, am I in the growth zone? Am I being challenged? Am I stretching? Am I doing things that scare me a little, that push me? that require growth? If the answer is no, you're in comfort, and comfort is killing you. Choosing your hard. Here's a truth most people don't want to accept. Life is hard either way. You can have the heart of discipline or the heart of regret, the heart of training or the heart of weakness, the heart of challenge or the heart of stagnation. You don't get to choose whether life is hard. You only get to choose your hard. Comfort seems like the easy choice, but it's not. Comfort is hard in the long run. It's hard to be weak when you could be strong. It's hard to be incapable when you could be skilled. It's hard to look at yourself and know you're less than you could be. That's hard. Much harder than the temporary discomfort of growth. But most people choose comfort's hard because it's delayed. The pain of discipline is immediate. You feel it every time you choose the difficult thing. But the pain of regret is delayed. You don't feel it today. You feel it years from now when you realize how much potential you wasted choosing comfort. So here's what you need to understand. You're going to experience difficulty either way. The question is, do you want the difficulty that makes you stronger or the difficulty that makes you weaker? Do you want the pain of growth or the pain of atrophy? Do you want the discomfort of challenge or the despair of wasted potential? Choose your hard, but choose consciously. Don't drift into comfort and pretend you're choosing nothing. You're choosing. You're choosing weakness over strength, stagnation over growth, regret over fulfillment. Own that choice. And if you don't like it, make a different one. The comfort audit. Let's get specific about where comfort is controlling your life, because vague awareness changes nothing. Specific understanding creates specific action. Go through each area of your life and ask, where am I choosing comfort over growth? Physical. What's the workout you're avoiding? What's the physical challenge that scares you? Where are you choosing ease over effort? What convenient habits are weakening you? Mental. What's the difficult book you're avoiding? What's the complex skill you're not learning? Where are you choosing entertainment over education? What mental comfort is making you lazy? Emotional. What's the difficult feeling you're suppressing? What's the hard conversation you're avoiding? Where are you choosing numbness over processing? What emotional comfort is making you fragile? Social. What's the social situation you're avoiding? What's the network you're not expanding? Where are you choosing familiar over new? What social comfort is making you isolated? Professional. What's the challenge you're declining? What's the risk you're not taking? Where are you choosing safety over growth? What professional comfort is making you stagnant? Financial. What's the expense you're not willing to cut? What's the investment you're too scared to make? Where are you choosing spending comfort over financial growth? What financial comfort is keeping you broke? Write these down. Be honest. Look at the pattern. See how much of your life is organized around avoiding discomfort. See how much potential you're sacrificing for comfort. See what it's costing you. Embracing the suck. The military has a phrase, embrace the suck. It means stop resisting difficulty. Stop complaining about it. Stop wishing it were easier. Just accept that it sucks and do it anyway. The suck is the point. The suck is where growth happens. You need to develop this mindset. Not, how do I make this easier? But good, this is hard, this is where I grow. Not, this is uncomfortable, I should stop. But this is uncomfortable, I should continue. Not, I deserve a break, but I deserve to become more capable. Embracing the suck doesn't mean you enjoy difficulty. It means you don't let difficulty stop you. It means you expect challenge and welcome it because you know what it produces. It means you measure your life by how much discomfort you're willing to face, not how much you avoid. This is the opposite of how most people think. Most people measure their life quality by how comfortable they are. But comfort is not quality. Comfort is death. Quality comes from growth, from capability, from becoming more. And all of that requires embracing the suck. Taking action now. Reading about comfort killing you changes nothing. Understanding it intellectually changes nothing. Only action changes things. So here's what you're doing today. First, identify one area where you've been choosing comfort over growth. One specific habit or pattern. Second, identify the uncomfortable alternative. What would growth look like in that area? What's the hard choice you've been avoiding? Third, do the hard thing. Today, not tomorrow. Today. Choose discomfort. Choose challenge. Choose growth. Prove to yourself that you can. Make it specific. Make it measurable. Make it something you can't rationalize away later. If it's physical, do the workout you've been avoiding. Take the stairs every time today. Walk instead of drive. Make your body do something difficult. If it's mental, read the difficult material. Learn the hard skill. Think deeply about something complex. Make your mind work. If it's emotional, have the difficult conversation. Process the suppressed feeling. Face the discomfort you've been numbing. Make yourself feel. If it's social, approach the person who intimidates you. Go to the event that scares you. Put yourself in the uncomfortable situation. Make yourself connect. If it's professional, take on the challenging project. Ask for the difficult opportunity. Do the work you've been avoiding. Make yourself grow. If it's financial, make the sacrifice you've been avoiding. Cut the expense. Make the investment. Make yourself uncomfortable financially. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the pattern it establishes. You're proving to yourself, I can choose discomfort. I can choose growth. I'm not trapped in comfort. I'm capable of more. This one action today, then another tomorrow, then another the next day. Each time choosing growth over comfort. Each time proving you're not dying slowly. You're living actively. Comfort is killing you, but only if you let it. Stop letting it. Choose the hard thing. Choose growth. Choose to become more instead of staying the same. Your comfort zone is a cage. Break it. Today. Chapter 4. Take it or watch someone else take it. Opportunities don't wait. They don't pause while you figure yourself out. They don't circle back when you're finally ready. They appear. They linger for a moment, and then they move on. To someone else. Someone who acted faster. Someone who hesitated less. Someone who wanted it more. And you're standing there. Still thinking. Still analyzing. Still waiting for the perfect moment. Still building courage. Still making sure it's the right move. And while you're doing all that internal processing, someone else takes what could have been yours. This is the reality nobody wants to talk about. We pretend there's plenty of time. We pretend opportunities are abundant. We pretend that if we miss one, another will come. Sometimes that's true, but often it's not. Often there's one window, one chance, one moment, and if you don't take it, it's gone. The cost of hesitation. Let's be brutally specific about what hesitation costs you. Not in abstract terms, in concrete losses. You hesitate on a job opportunity. You see it. You know it's good, but you want to think about it. Consider all angles. Make sure it's perfect. Weigh the risks. And while you're weighing, someone else applies, gets the interview, takes the position, and you're still at your current job, wondering what could have been. You hesitate on a relationship. You meet someone interesting, feel the connection, but you want to be sure. Don't want to seem too eager. Need to protect yourself. Play it cool. And while you're playing it cool, someone else makes a move, shows interest, takes the chance, and they get the relationship you were too scared to pursue. You hesitate on investment. You see the opportunity, recognize the potential, but you want more information, need to research more, want to wait for a better entry point. And while you're waiting, the price moves. The opportunity passes. Someone else profits, and you're left with regret and analysis. You hesitate on starting the business. You have the idea, see the gap in the market, but you want to plan more, save more money, gain more skills, wait for perfect conditions. And while you're preparing, someone else launches, takes the market share, builds the customer base, and your idea becomes their success story. This is what hesitation costs. Not hypothetical losses. Actual opportunities that were available and are now gone. Actual chances you could have taken that someone else took instead. Actual possibilities that became someone else's reality while you were still thinking. Why people hesitate? If hesitation costs so much, why do people do it? Why do they keep waiting while opportunities pass them by? Because hesitation feels safe. It feels like wisdom. It feels like you're being careful, thoughtful, strategic. You're not rushing in. You're not being impulsive. You're being responsible. Right? Wrong. Hesitation is not wisdom. It's fear wearing a mask of prudence. You're not being strategic. You're being scared. You're not gathering information. You're gathering excuses. You're not waiting for the right time. You're hoping the decision will be made for you. Hesitation also protects your ego. If you don't try, you can't fail. If you don't take the shot, you can't miss. If you don't pursue the opportunity, you can't be rejected. So you hesitate. You preserve the fantasy that you could succeed if only you tried. You protect yourself from the uncomfortable reality that you might try and still not get what you want. And hesitation is easy to justify. You can always find rational reasons to wait. I need more money. I need more time. I need more information. I need more preparation. These sound reasonable, but they're not. They're just comfortable ways to avoid risk. The aggressive mindset. Here's what you need to understand. In a world of hesitators, aggression wins. Not reckless aggression, not thoughtless aggression, but decisive, action-oriented aggression. The willingness to move fast, to take the shot, to pursue the opportunity before you feel fully ready. Aggressive doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean you don't think. It means you don't overthink. You gather enough information to make a decision. Then you make it. You don't wait for perfect clarity. You move on sufficient clarity. Aggressive doesn't mean you ignore risks. It means you accept risks as the price of opportunity. You don't try to eliminate all risk. That's impossible. You assess risk, determine if it's acceptable, and then act despite it. Aggressive doesn't mean you never fail. It means you fail faster. You try, you fail, you adjust, you try again. While hesitators are still analyzing, you've already tried 3 approaches and eliminated 2 bad ones. You're ahead because you moved. This is the mindset you need to develop, bias toward action. When you see an opportunity, your default response should be, yes, let's go, not, let me think about it. When you feel uncertainty, your default should be move and adjust, not wait for clarity. When you face risk, your default should be acceptable, not avoidable. Most people have the opposite defaults. Their first instinct is to wait, to analyze, to seek certainty. And by the time they're ready, the opportunity is gone. You need to rewire your defaults. Fast action, rapid decision, immediate movement, first mover advantage. There's a concept in business called first mover advantage. The first company to enter a market often captures disproportionate value. Not always, but often enough that speed matters enormously. This applies to every area of life, not just business. Being first, or being fast, creates advantages that hesitators never get. When you act first on an opportunity, you have less competition. Fewer people have seen it yet. Fewer people have acted on it. You get first pick, first access, first chance. The longer you wait, the more crowded it gets. The more competition you face, the harder it is to win. When you act first, you create momentum. You're moving while others are thinking. And movement creates more movement. Opportunities compound. Connections lead to more connections. Action creates more action. Hesitators never build momentum because they never start. When you act first, you learn first. You make mistakes faster. You get feedback sooner. You iterate quicker. While hesitators are still planning, you've already learned what works and what doesn't. You're 3 versions ahead because you started 3 versions ago. When you act first, you build confidence. Each time you move fast and survive, even if you don't succeed perfectly, you prove to yourself that you can handle uncertainty. You can act without perfect information. You can take risks. This confidence makes the next move easier. Hesitators never build this confidence because they never practice it. This doesn't mean always being first is the only way to win. Sometimes being better is more important than being first. But speed matters. And most people aren't choosing between being first with a mediocre approach or being later with a great one. They're choosing between moving now or not moving at all. And not moving means losing. The 48-hour rule. Here's a rule that will change your life if you implement it. When you see an opportunity, you have 48 hours to take action on it or dismiss it. No middle ground. Either act or actively decide not to. But no indefinite hesitation. This rule forces decision. Most people let opportunities sit in a mental queue labeled, "I'll think about it later." But later never comes. The opportunity just sits there, creating anxiety, consuming mental energy, but never getting acted on. Eventually it expires, and you tell yourself it probably wasn't that good anyway. The 48-hour rule eliminates that pattern. You see the opportunity. You have 2 days to gather necessary information and make a decision. Either you pursue it or you consciously decline it. But no limbo. No eternal maybe. This feels scary. What if you make the wrong decision? What if you need more time? What if you're not sure? Tough. That's the point. You're training yourself to make decisions with incomplete information, to act under uncertainty, to move even when you're not sure. Because that's reality. You're never fully sure. You never have complete information. You always have uncertainty. The question is, will you move anyway? Some decisions are bigger and need more than 48 hours. Fine. Adjust the timeline. But set one. Don't let opportunities drift indefinitely in someday territory. Give yourself a deadline. Gather what information you can in that time. Then decide. And commit to your decision. What aggressive action looks like. Let's get concrete. What does it actually mean to take opportunities aggressively instead of hesitating? It means when you see the job posting, you apply that day. Not next week. Not after you perfect your resume. That day. You apply with what you have. Because waiting means more competition. More applicants. Less chance. It means when you meet someone interesting, you get their contact information before you leave. Not, maybe I'll see them again. Now. Because maybe you won't. And this might be your only chance. It means when you have a business idea, you test it immediately. Not after 6 months of planning. Not after you save more money. Not after you read 10 more books. Now. Create a minimum viable version. Put it out there. See what happens. It means when you feel the impulse to create something, you start that day. Not when you have more time. Not when you feel more inspired. Now. Because the impulse will fade. And if you don't capture it immediately, it's gone. It means when you see the investment opportunity, you move quickly. Not impulsively. You do your due diligence. But quickly. Because good opportunities don't wait. By the time you're absolutely certain, the opportunity is gone or the price has moved. It means when someone offers you an opportunity, a project, a collaboration, a chance, you say yes unless there's a clear reason to say no. Your default is yes. Most people's default is, let me think about it, which really means, probably no, but I'm too scared to commit either way. Reverse that. Default to yes. Only say no if there's a specific, concrete reason. This feels reckless. It feels impulsive. It feels like you're not thinking things through. But you are thinking. You're just not overthinking. You're gathering sufficient information and moving. You're accepting that you can't eliminate all uncertainty and moving anyway. You're prioritizing speed over perfection. The myth of the perfect timing. People say timing is everything, and they use this to justify waiting. It's not the right time yet. I need to wait for better timing. The timing isn't right. But here's the truth. Perfect timing is a myth. There's no moment when everything aligns, when all factors are favorable, when conditions are ideal. That moment doesn't exist. Successful people don't wait for perfect timing. They create timing. They make moves that seem early or risky or not quite right. And then they adjust. They adapt. They make it work. The timing becomes right because they acted, not because they waited. Think about major life decisions. Was there ever a right time to start the business? To have kids? To make the career change? To end the relationship? No, there wasn't. You made the decision and dealt with the reality of that timing. And it worked out. Or it didn't. But it was never about timing being perfect. It was about commitment to making it work regardless of timing. The wait for better timing. Excuse is just another form of hesitation. Another way to avoid risk. Another comfortable lie you tell yourself. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Create timing through action. The opportunity cost. Every time you hesitate on an opportunity, you're not just potentially losing that opportunity. You're definitely losing something else, time. The opportunity cost of hesitation is the time you spend not moving. Say you see a business opportunity. You spend 6 months thinking about it, researching, planning, analyzing, and eventually you either don't pursue it or you do, but 6 months later. Either way, you lost 6 months. 6 months you could have spent building, learning, iterating, growing. That's the opportunity cost. Or you see a relationship possibility. You spend months being uncertain, playing it safe, not committing. Eventually it either ends or you commit. Either way, you spent months in limbo. Months that could have been spent either building the relationship or being available for a better match. That's the opportunity cost. Time is the one resource you can never recover. Money can be earned again. Skills can be learned. Connections can be made. But time once spent is gone forever. And every moment you spend hesitating is a moment you're never getting back. This is why aggressive action is so important. Not just because you might get the opportunity, but because even if you don't, you fail faster. You learn sooner. You move on quicker. You don't waste months or years in analysis paralysis. You spend your time doing rather than deliberating. And doing, even when it doesn't work, is always more valuable than deliberating. Taking action now. So here's what you're going to do. Right now. Not later. Now. You're going to identify one opportunity you've been hesitating on, and you're going to act on it. Today. First, identify the opportunity. Be specific. What is it you've been thinking about, waiting on, not committing to? Name it clearly. Second, identify what's been stopping you. What's the hesitation about? What are you waiting for? What's the fear underneath? Be honest. Third, determine the minimum action you could take today. Not the perfect action. Not the complete action. The minimum action that would move you from hesitation to motion. What could you do in the next hour that would constitute taking the opportunity seriously? Fourth, do that action. Now, before you finish this chapter, before you read the next one, before you do anything else, do the minimum action. Send the email. Make the call. Fill out the application. Start the project. Make the move. Whatever it is, do it now. Fifth, set the next action and a deadline. Don't stop at one move. Momentum requires continued motion. What's the next step? When will you do it? Be specific. Hold yourself accountable. This is the shift from hesitator to actor, from someone who watches opportunities pass to someone who seizes them, from someone who thinks about taking chances to someone who takes them. You will not always succeed. Sometimes you'll take the opportunity and fail. That's fine. That's part of it. But you'll have acted. You'll have tried. You'll have taken your shot. And that's infinitely better than hesitating and wondering what could have been. Opportunities don't wait for you to be ready. They don't wait for you to feel confident. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They appear. They offer themselves. And then they move on to someone. The only question is, will it be you? Or will it be someone else who wanted it less, but hesitated less? Take it. Take it now, before someone else does. Chapter 5. Discipline beats motivation every time. You're waiting to feel motivated, waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting for the day when action feels easy. That day isn't coming. Motivation is a lie, and as long as you depend on it, you'll stay stuck. Here's what nobody tells you about motivation. It's an emotion, a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They come and go. They fluctuate based on sleep, stress, circumstances, hormones, weather. You can't build a life on something so unstable. You can't create consistent results from inconsistent feelings. But discipline is reliable. Discipline doesn't care how you feel, doesn't wait for inspiration, doesn't require emotional energy. Discipline is the commitment to doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel about it. And that's what separates people who achieve from people who wish. The motivation lie. The world sells you a story about motivation, that successful people are highly motivated, that they wake up excited, that they love what they do so much that action is effortless, that if you just find your passion, you'll be motivated too. This is complete bullshit. Successful people aren't successful because they're motivated. They're successful because they're disciplined. They do the work whether they feel like it or not. They show up whether they're inspired or not. They execute whether it's easy or not. Yes, they probably started with some motivation, some initial excitement, some burst of inspiration, but that faded. It always fades. And when it faded, they kept going, not because they felt like it, because they committed to it, because they built discipline. The motivation lie keeps people stuck in a cycle. They feel motivated. They start something. They make initial progress. Then motivation fades. They stop. They wait for motivation to return. It doesn't. Or it returns briefly. They start again. Then it fades again. They spend their lives starting and stopping, never building momentum, never creating results, always waiting for the feeling that will make it easy. Stop waiting. It won't get easy. It won't feel good. You won't wake up one day magically motivated. You need to accept this. You need to stop relying on motivation and start building discipline. What discipline actually is. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself. It's not about punishment or suffering or proving how tough you are. That's a misunderstanding that makes discipline seem unappealing. Discipline is simply this: doing what you committed to doing, when you committed to doing it, regardless of how you feel in the moment. That's it. That's the whole thing. You committed to working out 5 days a week. Discipline is working out 5 days a week, even on days you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when you'd rather do something else. You committed. You execute. That's discipline. You committed to working on your business every morning. Discipline is working every morning, even when you're not inspired, even when progress feels slow, even when you question if it's worth it. You committed. You execute. That's discipline. You committed to eating in a certain way. Discipline is eating that way, even when you're tempted, even when others are eating differently. Even when it would be easier to break the commitment. You committed. You execute. That's discipline. Notice what's not part of this definition. Feeling good about it. Wanting to do it. Being excited about it. Those are nice bonuses when they happen, but they're not required. Discipline functions independently of feelings. That's why it's reliable. Why discipline beats motivation. Let's be very clear about why discipline is superior to motivation as a life strategy. First, discipline is consistent. Motivation fluctuates. Some days you're motivated, some days you're not. But discipline shows up every day. It doesn't take days off based on how you feel. This consistency creates results. Consistent action over time beats occasional bursts of motivated action every single time. Second, discipline builds momentum. When you act consistently, you create forward motion. Momentum makes things easier, not because you're more motivated, but because you're in the habit of doing the thing. It becomes automatic. Motivation can't create momentum because it's too inconsistent. Third, discipline is controllable. You can't control motivation. It comes and goes as it pleases. But you can control discipline. You can decide to be disciplined. You can practice it. You can strengthen it. Your outcomes are in your hands when you rely on discipline. They're not when you rely on motivation. Fourth, discipline proves to yourself that you're capable. Each time you act despite not feeling like it, you demonstrate that feelings don't control you. You're stronger than your emotions, more powerful than your resistance. This self-proof builds real confidence. Motivation-based action doesn't do this because you only acted when you felt like it. Fifth, discipline creates identity shift. When you consistently act according to your commitments, you start to see yourself differently. You're not someone who needs to feel like it. You're someone who does what needs to be done. That identity change is powerful. It affects every area of life. Motivation can initiate. Discipline can sustain. And sustainability is what creates results. Anyone can start when they're excited. But most things worth doing require continuing long after excitement fades. That's where discipline separates achievers from wannabes. Building discipline like a muscle. Here's good news. Discipline is trainable. It's not something you have or don't have. It's something you build. Like a muscle. And like a muscle, it gets stronger with use. Start small. Don't try to become extremely disciplined overnight. That's how people fail. They make massive commitments they can't sustain. Then they break them. Then they conclude, I'm not disciplined, and give up. Instead, make one small commitment. Something so easy that there's no excuse not to do it. Maybe it's every day, no matter what, I'll do 10 push-ups. That's it. 10 push-ups. Takes 2 minutes. No excuse not to do it. Do that every single day. Not most days. Every day. For a month. This is training discipline. Not training your body, though that's a bonus. Training your ability to keep commitments regardless of how you feel. Once you've successfully sustained one commitment for a month, add another. Maybe now it's 10 push-ups and reading 10 pages. Still small. Still manageable. But you're building. Keep adding. Keep stacking commitments. Keep proving to yourself that you can keep your word. Your discipline muscle is getting stronger. Not because any individual commitment is hard, but because you're consistently executing despite how you feel. This is how you build discipline. Not through massive willpower. Not through suffering. Through repeated, consistent, small acts of keeping commitments. Over time, this becomes your default. You become someone who does what they say they'll do. Period. The discipline chain. There's a concept called don't break the chain. The idea is simple. Every day you keep your commitment, you mark it on a calendar. You create a visual chain of consecutive days. The chain becomes a motivating factor. You don't want to break it. This works because it makes discipline visible. You can see your consistency. You can see your commitment manifesting day after day. And there's something powerful about not wanting to break a streak. But here's what's more important than the chain itself. What happens when you break it? Because you will. Eventually, you'll miss a day. You'll break the chain. This is the critical moment. Most people break the chain once and give up. Well, I already broke it. Might as well quit. This is the discipline death spiral. One missed day becomes two. Two becomes a week. A week becomes forever. Disciplined people respond differently. They break the chain and immediately start a new one. The next day, they're back. They don't spiral. They don't let one miss become an excuse for more. They acknowledge the break and return to discipline immediately. This is what separates sustainable discipline from fragile willpower. Disciplined people know they'll miss sometimes. They plan for it. They have a protocol. Miss once, return immediately. No guilt. No shame. No spiral. Just return. Build this into your discipline practice. When you miss, and you will, your only job is to not miss twice in a row. One miss is recovery. Two misses is a new pattern. Never miss twice. Systems over willpower. People think discipline requires enormous willpower, constant fighting against their desires, eternal struggle. This is exhausting and unsustainable. That's not how sustainable discipline works. Sustainable discipline is built on systems, not willpower. You structure your environment and routines so that disciplined behavior is the path of least resistance. You make it easier to do the right thing than the wrong thing. Example, you want to work out every morning. The willpower approach is, every morning, fight yourself to go to the gym. Eventually, you lose this fight. You're tired. You skip. You stop. The system approach is, put your workout clothes next to your bed. When you wake up, you see them. You put them on before your brain fully wakes up. You've removed the decision point. The system makes the discipline choice automatic. Example, you want to eat healthier. The willpower approach is, go to the grocery store hungry. Walk past all the junk food. Willpower your way to buying only healthy food. Eventually, you fail. You're stressed. You buy the junk. You eat it. The system approach is, order groceries online. No temptation. No willpower required. Only healthy options available in your house. When you're hungry, you eat healthy because that's what's available. The system makes the discipline choice easy. See the difference? Willpower is fighting yourself. Systems is designing your environment so you don't have to fight. Both result in discipline, but only one is sustainable. Look at every area where you want discipline. Ask, how can I build a system that makes the discipline choice the easy choice? Then build that system. Remove temptation. Add friction to bad choices. Reduce friction to good choices. Make discipline the path of least resistance. The discipline paradox. Here's something counterintuitive. Discipline creates freedom. It looks like restriction. It looks like you're constraining yourself. But the opposite is true. Discipline is what creates freedom. When you lack discipline, you're enslaved to your feelings. You can only act when you feel like it. You're dependent on circumstances being favorable. You're controlled by impulses. That's not freedom. That's being a slave to your emotional state. When you have discipline, you're free. Free to pursue any goal regardless of feelings. Free to make any change regardless of circumstances. Free to build any life regardless of impulses. You're not controlled by how you feel. You control your actions. That's freedom. Undisciplined people think they're free because they do whatever they want in the moment. But they're not. They're trapped in cycles. Trapped by addictions. Trapped by patterns. Trapped by the consequences of impulsive choices. They're slaves calling themselves free. Disciplined people appear constrained because they adhere to commitments. But they're not. They're free because those commitments create results. Results create options. Options create real freedom. They're free people appearing constrained. Understand this paradox. Accept it. Discipline is not restriction of freedom. It's the pathway to it. Taking action now. So here's what you're going to do. Right now. Not later when you feel motivated. Now. First, identify one commitment you're going to make. One specific, measurable daily action. Something small enough that there's no excuse not to do it. Write it down. Second, determine your tracking method. How will you mark each day you keep this commitment? Calendar, app, notebook. Choose something you'll actually use. Third, identify your system. What environmental setup will make this commitment easier to keep? What will you do to remove friction? Be specific. Fourth, execute today. Do the thing. Mark it. Start your chain. Prove to yourself that you can keep a commitment regardless of how you feel. Fifth, plan for misses. Right now, decide. When I miss a day, not if, when. What will I do? Write it down. When I miss, I immediately do it the next day. No exceptions. No excuses. This is the beginning of building discipline. Not motivation. Discipline. The reliable, sustainable, controllable force that creates consistent results. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to be inspired. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to do what you're committed to do. That's it. That's discipline. Stop waiting for motivation. Start building discipline. One small commitment. One daily execution. One link in the chain. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a practice. Feelings fade. Practices build. Build discipline. It beats motivation every single time. Chapter 6. Pain is information, not punishment. You're avoiding pain. Running from it. Trying to eliminate it. Medicating it. Distracting yourself from it. And that avoidance is destroying you. Because pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. And when you refuse to listen to information, you stay stuck. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about unnecessary suffering. I'm not glorifying pain for pain's sake. I'm not telling you to seek out misery. What I'm saying is this. When pain shows up in your life, it's telling you something. And your job is to listen, not to run. But most people run. They avoid. They numb. They distract. They do anything except actually face the pain and hear what it's trying to communicate. And because they don't listen, they don't learn. And because they don't learn, they keep creating the same painful situations over and over. The types of pain. Not all pain is the same. Understanding the difference between types of pain is critical. Because some pain is signaling danger. You should stop. But other pain is signaling growth. You should continue. Damaged pain is your body telling you something is wrong. Injury, overexertion, actual physical harm. This pain says, stop, you're causing damage. This is the pain you should listen to by ceasing the activity. Sharp pain, sudden pain, pain that doesn't subside. This is information saying, protect yourself. Growth pain is your body adapting to new demands. Muscle soreness, cardiovascular stress, the discomfort of learning a new skill. This pain says, you're stretching beyond current capacity. Adaptation is happening. This is the pain you should listen to by continuing. Dull pain, gradual pain, pain that subsides with rest. This is information saying, you're growing. Emotional pain is your psyche telling you something needs attention. Grief, fear, anger, shame. This pain says, there's something here to process, to understand, to integrate. This is the pain you should listen to by feeling it, not avoiding it. This is information saying, heal this. Purposelessness pain is your soul telling you something is misaligned. The ache of living wrong. The emptiness of doing meaningless work. The restlessness of not being yourself. This pain says, you're off path. Course correct. This is the pain you should listen to by changing direction. This is information saying, this isn't your life. Most people can't distinguish between these types, so they treat all pain the same, avoid it. But damage pain requires stopping. Growth pain requires continuing. Emotional pain requires processing. Purposelessness pain requires changing. Running from all pain equally means you ignore the information pain is trying to give you. What pain is telling you? Let's get specific about what different pains communicate. Physical pain during exercise. Your muscles are adapting. Your cardiovascular system is strengthening. Your body is becoming more capable. Keep going. This is growth. Physical pain from injury. You've exceeded safe limits. Tissue is damaged. Continuing will cause harm. Stop. Recover. This is protection. Emotional pain from loss. You loved. You connected. You're grieving. This is healthy. Feel it. Process it. Don't numb it. This is healing. Emotional pain from shame. You violated your own values. You acted against your integrity. This pain is calling you back to alignment. Listen. Correct. Grow. This is conscience. Discomfort from challenge. You're outside your comfort zone. You're stretching. You're growing. This means it's working. Stay here. This is development. Discomfort from misalignment. You're doing work you don't believe in. Maintaining relationships that aren't real. Living a life that isn't yours. This pain is saying, change this. This is guidance. See how different these are. See how running from all pain equally means you miss critical information? You numb the grief and lose the healing. You avoid the challenge and lose the growth. You medicate the misalignment and stay stuck in the wrong life. Why people avoid pain? So why do people run from pain instead of listening to it? Why do they choose numbing over learning? Because pain is uncomfortable, obviously, and humans are wired to avoid discomfort. This made sense evolutionarily. Pain often signaled danger. But in modern life, most pain isn't danger. It's growth or healing or guidance. But your primitive brain doesn't distinguish. It just says, pain bad, avoid pain. Also, confronting pain requires courage. It requires sitting with discomfort, feeling difficult emotions, facing uncomfortable truths. Most people don't want to do this. It's easier to distract, to numb, to pretend the pain isn't there. Additionally, our culture teaches pain avoidance. We're sold endless products and services to eliminate discomfort. Medications, entertainment, substances, distractions. The message is clear. Pain is bad. Comfort is good. Avoid pain at all costs. This is terrible advice. This advice keeps people stuck in cycles of suffering because they never address the root cause. And finally, avoiding pain can work. Temporarily. You numb out. You distract yourself. The pain subsides. For a while. So your brain learns avoidance works. But it doesn't. Not long term. The pain returns. Often stronger. Because the underlying issue wasn't addressed. But the temporary relief is enough to reinforce the avoidance pattern. The cost of avoiding pain. When you avoid growth pain, you never grow. You stay weak, incapable, limited. You plateau, then decline. All because you wouldn't tolerate discomfort. When you avoid emotional pain, you don't heal. You bury it. It festers. Affects your behavior, relationships, mental health. Comes out sideways in anxiety, anger, self-sabotage. Because you wouldn't face it and process it. When you avoid purposelessness pain, you stay in the wrong life. Doing meaningless work. Living others' expectations. The pain screams, this isn't right. But you keep numbing it. So you stay stuck. Wasting your life. When you numb pain with substances or distractions, you create new problems. Addiction. Dependence. Wasted time. Now you have the original pain, plus the pain from numbing. You're worse off. Pain avoidance keeps you stuck. Not learning. Not growing. Not healing. Not changing. Pain was trying to guide you. You refused to listen. Choosing your suffering. Life involves suffering. You will experience pain. The question is, what kind? Suffer from growth, pushing yourself, challenging yourself, becoming more. This creates strength, capability, achievement, temporary, lead somewhere, or suffer from stagnation, being stuck, wasted potential, not becoming what you could be. This creates weakness, regret, bitterness, permanent, leads nowhere. You don't choose no suffering. You only choose which suffering. Choose the pain that builds you up, not the pain that breaks you down. The growth zone. Pain tells you where you are. No discomfort. Comfort zone. Not growing. Overwhelming pain. Damage zone. Back off. But moderate discomfort. Manageable but uncomfortable. Growth zone. This is where you want to be. This is adaptation in progress. Stay here. Most people retreat at first discomfort. They never learn that moderate pain signals growth. Learn to seek the growth zone. Stay there even when it's hard. That's where transformation happens. Take action now. Stop avoiding pain. Start learning from it. Identify one pain you've been avoiding. Determine what type it is. Listen to what it's telling you. Act on the information. Do it today. Face the pain. Listen to it. Learn from it. Grow because of it. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. Stop running. Start listening. Pain is information. Start listening.